Hello Health Hunter Yogis, and happy International Yoga Day to you all. Today's practice is a mixture of vinyasa and yin yoga, and all that I ask of you is to show up and really embrace every moment of the practice. There will be times that are challenging. There's going to be some dynamic movements in there that you may not have experienced, and all I ask is that you do your best and know that that is enough. And I hope that you feel content and enough after this practice. I do suggest that you have a towel or a blanket, preferably two if you've got them, as we'll be rolling them up and using them for the yin part of the sequence. Blocks if you have them, although they aren't necessary. Unroll your mat and we'll get started. So we're starting today's practice in Sukhasana, resting with the hands on top of the thighs, closing the eyes down, rolling the shoulders onto the back. Taking a moment to settle in and breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And once your breath becomes steady, you can close the mouth down and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And now, if you've used Ujjayi Pranayama before, I want you to start activating that breath. If you haven't, then please follow my instruction. We want to inhale through the nose and continue to exhale out of the nose. But on the exhalation, we're constricting the back of the throat and creating a hissing or sighing sound. Now, I really encourage you to use Ujjayi Pranayama throughout the vinyasa part of this practice, especially with the dynamic movements we're about to engage in. So from here, inhaling, reaching the arms up and overhead, and then placing the right hand underneath the left palm and pressing those palms up toward the ceiling. Really lengthening through the spine, sending and anchoring those sit bones down to the ground. Take another inhale breath and reach the palms. Exhale. Take a side stretch over to the right, so really lengthening out through the side body. I want you to really engage and feel into your left oblique. And then from here, start to breathe Ujjayi breath, so inhaling and exhaling with that constriction, and then gently pulsing that left oblique forward and back. Really feel your abdomen, feel the arms lengthening. Keep pulsing for a moment. And then inhale, bring those arms back through to center. And then bring the head and the neck forward. Drop the chin toward the chest and really stretch and lengthen out through the back of the head and the neck. Breathe. And then lift the face to gaze up toward the ceiling. Stretch through the front of the throat. And then release those arms, wrap the right arm around the left shoulder, left hand around the right. Hug the arms in toward the body. And then slowly drop the chin toward the chest and gently roll the head and the neck from shoulder to shoulder, coming through the midline. Breathe and really feel into the stretch. Feel into the movement. And then bring that chin back toward the midline. And then lift the face, gaze up toward the ceiling. And then slowly lift those elbows up toward the ceiling. Continue to breathe. Release the arms. Inhale, sweep them back up and overhead. This time, right palm comes underneath the left. And then inhale as you press through those palms. And then exhale to take a side stretch over to the left-hand side. This time really stretching out through the right oblique. And again, breathing, start to pulse that right oblique forward. Now this might feel strange if they're not muscles that you access very often. Keep breathing, pulsing gently. And then inhale, draw those arms back through to center. Drop the arms down into goddess arms. So arms are at goal pose, spread wide through the fingertips. And now you can lift the face, lift the chest, pull the arms back as you open through the front side of the body. And then exhale, wrap your left arm over to your right shoulder, right arm to left shoulder. Hug the body, drop the chin toward the chest. And then really just pull the fascia away from the shoulder joint. And then lift the face and the head level, open the eyes. And then inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. And then drop your left hand to your right knee, right hand comes behind the back. As you inhale and exhale to twist and gaze over the right shoulder. Make sure that you're twisting from the upper body and not from the hip. Keep breathing. And then release the gaze to the side. Drop your right forearm to the ground. Inhale, sweep that left arm up and overhead. So stretching again through the side body. And then begin to bring your left arm into a goalpost. And using that Ujjayi breath, start to row and pulse the arm. So inhaling, exhaling. Now as you do this, make sure that you're keeping that left hip and sit bone toward the ground. Inhale, bring the arms back through to center. Interlace the fingers, press the palms up toward the ceiling. Drop the chin level, and then slowly start to circulate through the abdomen, leading with your heart or your chest. So engaging your core, keeping both sit bones to the ground. And then reversing that movement, taking it back in the opposite direction. And then drawing the navel back toward the spine. Exhale and inhale as you press or contract the abdomen out in front. If you've used Kapalabhati or breath of fire, you might want to incorporate that into the movement here. Inhale. And then exhale, drop your right hand to your left knee, bring your left hand behind, and inhale and exhale to twist and gaze over that left shoulder. Keep breathing. And on your next breath, begin to relax into that twist. Soften in the arms. And then gaze to your left hand side, drop your left forearm to the ground. And inhale, sweep that right arm up and overhead. Reach and stretch through the side body. And then begin to bring that arm into a goalpost and start to row the arm. Gentle pulses here. Inhale, bring the arms back through to center. Bring the hands down through to heart center. Take a moment to set yourself your own intention. Please make that intention something around Santosa. And then open the eyes and make your way onto all fours, stacking your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees beneath the hips, spreading wide through the fingertips, pressing down through the palms, drawing navel back toward the spine, and then just lengthening through the head and the neck, gazing forward. Press the shins and the tops of the feet into the ground, so feeling a nice active tabletop position. Breathe. And then slowly drop the navel down towards the ground, pull the heart forward, lift the face. On an exhale breath, begin to round through the spine, bring the chin toward the chest. And then slowly drop that belly back down, coming through cow and cat one last time. And then stepping your feet back into a plank position. So you want to make sure that the shoulders are over the wrists, that we descend the tailbone back towards the heels, that we keep the core engaged so navel draws up toward the spine. Hold for a moment. Now we're going to lower through chaturanga. If you like, you can take the beginner's version by dropping your left knee to the ground and then bending in those elbows, keeping them tight towards the side of the body, creating a shelf, lower down to a hover. And then wherever you are, slowly lowering down onto the belly. Keep the palms by your side. Bring the big toes to connect. Push the pubic bone down into the ground. Roll the shoulders onto the back and inhale as you press and lift up into Bhujangasana or Cobra pose. Connect in with that breath and begin to slowly roll out and in with Cobra. So introducing that dynamic movement. And as you stay lifted, I now want you to slowly bend in those elbows and just gently pulse. So coming forward, back, feel the arms becoming fatigued. And then tuck the toes under, press back, make your way into Adho Mukha Svanasana or your first downward facing dog. And just pedaling the feet out, again making that downward facing dog dynamic. And then from here, I want you to lift your hips and your sit bones to the sky. Really press into the L shape of your palm, so index finger and thumb. I want you to rotate your armpits towards your heart or wrap them towards your heart. Keep melting the chest back towards the thighs. Keep the heels lifted, bend in the knees, but keep lifting the hips. Breathe. And then from here, inhale to send your right leg to the sky. For the moment, keep the foot flexed and keep the hips and the pelvis square to the front of the mat. Press and extend through that heel and then slowly start to bend that right heel in toward the buttocks. And as you do, lift that right knee up toward the sky, open through the hip, three-legged dog. Breathe. And then lifting the head to gaze forward, roll forward into a plank-like position. Bring the knee down underneath the hip and then start to lift that knee up toward the chest. So coming into some pelvic tucks. Keep breathing, stay strong in your arms. And then rock the knee from side to side, left to right. Keep the core engaged, breathe. And then send it back, three-legged dog. And then slowly start to take that right foot down towards the ground and across and in front of the left foot. Once you have the feet position side by side. Press back through the heels. The heels do not need to release to the ground. We just want to feel a gentle stretch through that left hamstring and left calf. Breathe. And then slowly bring that right foot back. Inhale, three-legged dog. Knee comes in toward the chest. Step that right foot up towards the top of the mat. Drop that left knee to the ground, untuck the toes. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Reach the arms up and overhead and really press down through your right big toe and your left pinky toe. This will help you maintain balance. Breathe. Bring the arms behind the back into Yogi Mudra. Interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades, drop the fist package towards the ground, and inhale as you open through the chest. Exhale, release those hands to frame the right foot, and then heel and toe that right foot to the edge of the mat. Bring the arms into alignment with that right leg. Option to stay propped up here for lizard, or coming down onto the forearms. And breathing into your edge. So in yoga, we have a few different edges. We have a flexibility edge, we have an endurance edge, we have a strength edge, and we also have a mental edge. So coming to a point that pushes us but not too far, that helps us grow. Everyone will be different. And if you are down onto the forearms, bring those palms back and into alignment with that right leg. And then start to bend in that left knee as you draw that left heel toward the buttocks. And then take your right hand behind, clasp a hold of the left foot, turn to gaze forward, and slowly bring that heel toward the buttocks just until you feel a nice pulling sensation in the left quad. Breathe. Exhale, release that foot to the ground, no slingshots. Tuck the toes under and lift, and then slowly walk your hands around toward the wide part of your mat, specifically the left-hand side if you're following with me. And then I want you to clasp a hold of the backs of the legs. Slowly allow the head and the neck to drape forward, wide-legged forward fold. Really breathe and clasp hold of the legs so that you can pull your chest and your body towards your thighs. Feel the stretch in your glutes, your hamstrings. Breathe. And then bring the fingertips to the ground. Inhale, flat back, wide-legged halfway lift. And then exhale, forward fold. And then from here, I want you to really lean into your right leg. Walk your hands over. So we want the knee to traction over the ankle, and then inhale to rise and bring the arms up and overhead. We're going to come through a traditional Chinese breathing exercise. On an exhalation, we're going to drop all of our weight towards that right leg and swing the arms down, and inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And then exhale. As you come down, slowly start to pick that left foot up, bring the toes back toward the body, slide the leg out if you need to. And then we're going to bring the right arm around the right thigh. Left arm comes behind as we clasp a hold of the hand. If you can't clasp a hold of the hand, then grab anywhere along the back. And then lift and externally rotate that left shoulder as you gaze up toward the ceiling. Keep flexing the toes and breathe. Rotate that shoulder back towards the ground. Release the palms to the ground. Slowly walk the hands back over to the left side foot. And then flip the toes back, Skandasana. Walk the hands back around. Coming into a runner's lunge, planting the hands, stepping it back into a plank position. Breathe and hold. Lowering down into chaturanga. Now if you dropped the left knee before, I want you to now drop the right knee. Bend in the elbows. Come down to a hover. And then release the hips, the pelvis. Release the tops of the feet. Push down through the big toes. Push down through the palms of the hands. Inhale as you press up into cobra. And again, exhale. Start to roll in and out of the pose. And then tucking the toes under, find your way back into downward facing dog. Now just take the feet a little bit wider now, so either to the edges of your mat or either side of the mat. And then walk your left palm towards the center or midline of the body, and then reach your right arm over towards the left leg. Grip a hold of the outside, and then turn the head to gaze between the space between your arms and legs. Breathe into that twist. Keep the heels released towards the ground. Slowly bring that right palm towards the midline of the body. Take the left hand over to the other side, and again, twist and breathe. Releasing the gaze, bring it back into downward facing dog, walking the feet hip width apart, and then just holding for a static downward dog. This time send your left leg to the sky in three-legged dog. Press through that left heel, keep the foot flexed, keep the hips and the pelvis square. And then start to bend in the knee. Draw that left heel towards the right buttocks. Keep extending that left knee to the sky as you open through the hips. And then gazing forward, bring that knee underneath the hips. And then start to lift that knee toward the chest, tucking the pelvis. Breathe. And then bringing that knee across to the right, to the left. Keep the core engaged. Breathe. And then sending it back into three-legged dog, holding for a moment. Bring the knee in toward the chest. Step that left foot up towards the top of the mat. Soften that right knee down, untuck the toes. And inhale, Anjaneyasana, or low crescent lunge. Use your breath to help you go further in the postures as well. So the inhalation should help you lift. The exhalation should help you release and stabilize. Bring the arms behind the back, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades, drop the fist package down towards the buttocks. Breathe. And then exhale, release those hands to either side of the foot. Slowly heel and toe that left foot to the edge of the mat. Bring the arms into alignment. This time, rather than lowering down onto the forearms, I want you to start to lift the left toes up toward the ceiling. And as you do, shift your weight forward. So draw the hips and the pelvis forward, heart through the arms. Breathe. We're feeling a deep stretch through that right quad. And then release those toes to the ground. Begin to slowly bring that right heel toward the buttocks. And then reach that left arm behind. Clasp a hold of the foot. Take the gaze forward and only draw that heel toward the body to a depth that feels comfortable for you. Find your edge. And then releasing that foot, no slingshot legs. Slowly start to lift up onto those right toes. And then walk your hands around to the wide part of your mat, this time the right hand side. And take that forward fold, but clasp a hold of your elbows and just sway from side to side. Breathing. Get some fluidity happening into your hips and your legs. And then this time, bring your weight over towards the left leg and inhale to bring the arms up. Now, as that knee comes over the ankle, I want you to do some of those pelvic tucks. So really bringing the pelvis or pulsating it forward and back. And then exhale aggressively down towards that left foot. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This time as you come down, stabilize yourself, flip the toes so they're facing back. Bring that left arm across the front of the leg, right arm comes behind. Connect the fingers if you can, and then gaze up towards your right shoulder. Breathe. If you can come lower to the ground, even better. But just accepting what you can do and knowing that you're doing enough. All right, releasing that bind, gazing down at the ground. Walk the hands back towards the back of the mat for Skandasana. And then exhale, walk the hands all the way back. Coming into that runner's lunge. And then stepping your right foot up to meet your left and taking a forward fold over the thighs. Just allowing for your head and neck to relax here. Bring hands to shins and inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Nice flat back extension. Exhale, Uttanasana. And then bending in the knees, inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, Urdhva Hastasana, palms connect. Take a deep back bend if it's within your practice. And then exhale, hands come back down through to heart center. Take a moment, take a breath. If you need some water, have some of that as well. And then bring your hands back to heart center. And inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, take a forward fold. Relax the head and the neck. And then start to sit back into the heels. Sweep the arms out in front and up toward the sky. Engage your core, so draw the navel back toward the spine, Utkatasana or chair pose. So we're going to introduce some dynamic movements here. So lifting your right foot off the ground and then crossing it over the left, over the right, over to the left, over to the right. Keep the core engaged. Breathe. Breathe into the standing leg and then inhale. Keep that leg lifted. Bring the toes back toward the body. Bring the arms into goalposts. Dancing Shiva. Gazing at a drishti. Finding your balance. And then bringing your right hand to your hip. Bringing your left hand to the outside of the right foot. Clasping a hold and then extending that leg out in front. Taking your gaze to the right hand side and taking your time. If you're comfortable, you can reach the right arm back. And then slowly return the gaze. Bring that right hand to the hip and then bring that left sole of the foot to rest on top of that left thigh. Coming into a variation of Vrksasana or tree pose, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach those arms up toward the sky. And then exhale, bring the hands through to heart center. Take your time. Make sure that standing leg is supporting you. Slowly sitting back, bringing the hands to the ground. Hands or fingertips, if you've got those blocks, feel free to use them. And also bringing the face towards the legs. Breathe. And then releasing that right foot to the ground. Bring the left palm toward the midline of the body and extend right arm up toward the ceiling. Right knee is slightly bent. And then you can straighten that right leg, bend through the left knee. Notice the difference. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep those arms back out in front, Utkatasana or chair pose. Hold for a moment. Get yourself grounded and stable. And then lift that left foot off the ground, flex the toes. Lift that left foot over the right knee, over to the left, over to the right, over to the left, right, left. Hold, lift, arms to goalposts. Flex the toes, dancing Shiva. Left hand to left hip, right hand comes across, clasp a hold of the outside of that left foot, extend the leg out in front, and then if you've got the balance, gaze over towards the left hand side, reach that left hand back. Breathe, and then slowly bring everything back through to center. Left foot rests on top of the right thigh for Vrksasana. Hands to heart center. Perhaps you stay here and perhaps you challenge your balance. Take the arms overhead and then slowly forward fold. Remember, this is your practice. You do what feels right for you. And then just releasing that left foot to the ground, right hand comes to the center of the mat. Inhale to extend left arm up, take your gaze there. Left leg starts to straighten out as you return the left palm. Bend through that right knee, reach the right arm up. And then exhale. Keeping both hands onto the ground, I want you to forward fold over the thighs, but really lift your hips and sit bones. Draw the navel back toward the spine. Create space for you to fold into yourself. And then clasp a hold of the elbows. Breathe. And then slowly bend in the knees. Reach the arms out in front. Take the sit bones to the ground, roll onto the back, take the knees out wide, flex through the feet, clasp a hold of the outsides of the feet or the big toes with your index finger and middle finger. And gently pull on the sides of the feet or the toes so you can bring the knees closer toward the ground. Really feel the entire backside of the body connected to the earth. So head, neck, shoulders. Feel the tailbone, breathe. If you like, you can rock from side to side. You can bring one leg in, stretch one leg out. So I also want to add that contentment doesn't mean just doing the bare minimum or sitting around and not challenging yourself. You're still required to face up to challenges and also to grow. but it's about accepting and being content with where you are on that journey rather than the outcome. And I'm going to demonstrate this in our next pose. I want you to lengthen that left leg out in front and bring that right foot to the inside of that thigh. So a supine Vrksasana or tree pose. Just bring the arms overhead and clasp a hold of the elbows. Breathe. And then start to flex the left toes back toward the body. Reach the arms out in front. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Now, you can build up some momentum here, or you can cheat, or not really cheat, but support yourself by planting that left foot and rocking forward. Keep the foot as it is. Inhale, lengthen the arms up, and then exhale, take a forward fold. Reach your hands for anywhere around that left foot or around the left shin. Again, coming to your edge, not necessarily mine, and being content with that. And then on an inhale breath, bring the arms back up and overhead. Now I want you to take your right hand to the outside of, left hand to the inside of the left leg. And I want you to wrap that right hand around. So you might only reach and connect with the left thigh, but if you can connect that hand with the foot, even better. And then twist and gaze over to the right hand side, not over the right shoulder. So this is an advanced posture. I don't expect anyone to be able to grab their foot just yet, but it's something that you can work towards as a goal and just enjoying the journey. So if you can just get your hand around your back, if you can just touch the thigh, or if you can eventually touch the toe, then just enjoy every moment of that journey. Exhale to release and twist forward. Lengthen the right leg out in front, shake the legs a little bit, and then bring the left foot in to sit on top of the right thigh. Flex the toes back, ground down through the sit bones. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale to take a forward fold and release the forehead towards the legs. Keep those elbows hinged. Breathe. And then inhale to gaze forward. Reach those arms up and overhead. Bringing that right hand now to the inside of the right thigh, extending and wrapping that left hand around, and then clasping a hold of that left foot or thigh or even the back. Now you may find one side is a lot easier than the other. So for me, this side is much, much easier. Breathe as you gaze to the left hand side. Close the eyes down and just reflect and observe how you feel. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally. What do these challenging poses bring out in you? And then gently release that clasp, release the bind, unravel, lengthen both legs out in front. Flex the toes back toward the body, send the sit bones to the ground, and really squeeze your legs so the backs of the knees lift off the ground. So Dandasana, plant the hands firmly beside you. Drop or protract the shoulders down towards the ground, gaze forward. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, take a forward fold. Now I don't mind here if you want to start to bend the knees a little bit or keep them straight, doing what feels right for you. If you'd like something more restorative, then bend the knees. If you want to keep that momentum going with flexibility, then straighten the legs. and then slowly slide those hands along the length of the leg. Gently roll the spine, gazing forward. We're now going to move into the yin part of our sequence. So now I also forgot to mention a bolster. Not necessary, you can use a pillow or cushion. I'm just going to grab mine now. We're going to fold our blankets in half and stack them one on top of the other. That's going to come towards the top of the mat for our head to rest upon. And we're going to lay our chest on top of the bolster. Now we want to create space between the chest and the head because we're going to slide that right arm across the body, and then we're going to flip the palm. Left arm is going to extend out in front, and the forehead is going to rest on top of the support of the blankets. So you might need to move around with your bolster to get the right alignment. But that left arm draws up towards the top of the mat. Right arm across the body. Now it's a deep stretch in the right shoulder blade. And just breathe. You can now release that Ujjayi pranayama and just come back to a more natural breath. And with each breath, focus on releasing held tension within the body. You might notice that you're holding on to that in your feet, in your legs, knees and thighs, and in the chest, and in the arms. You might be trying to lift the head and the neck. Just breathing and holding. You might be able to hear some very large cockatoos in the trees here, joining us for this practice. And because we're spending a bit more time in these holds, these postures, I want you to reflect back on that really active part of our sequence. And were there times that challenged you? Did you want to give up? Did you push on through? And how did that make you feel? How do you feel now that you've arrived here? You did it. Now slowly and mindfully lift the head up. Really gently unravel that right arm. So slide it across. Remember, it's a deep and long stretch. And then extend that right arm out in front of you. Take the left arm across the body. Take it as far as you can. And then slowly lower that chin on top of that left arm and drop the forehead down on top of the blanket. Settle in, scan the body. It's quite natural when we transition from one movement to the next, even these more gentle postures, that we start to create tension again. Start with your feet, your legs, hips and pelvis. Work your way up the body.
now, start to think about where you are right now. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? What do you feel? Check in with your breath, your heart. Did your heart rate increase? Is it slowing down? Is the breath shallow or deep? And then ever so slowly lifting the face, gently and slowly slide out that left arm. Bring the hands beside you, press up. Remove the bolster. That we won't be needing now. So for this next stretch, we're going to remove the blankets and we're going to remove the bolster. And we're going to come onto our sides in a supine position. Knees will stack on top of one another. Lengthen that left arm up and you can use it as a pillow for the moment. And then we're going to bring the right arm behind the back, bringing the back of the palm into or up in between the shoulder blades, so Gomukhasana arms. And then from here, I want you to slowly start to roll onto your back. We want the knees to be bent and the feet to be planted. And then once the back is flat to the ground, you can either keep that left arm extended or you can bring it behind the head. And then we're going to hold here, breathing. So quite an intense opening through the chest, the right shoulder, right arm. Breathe and feel free to switch the left arm positioning, so either behind the head or up to or up over your head. And just breathe. Soften through your feet, soften through your legs, lower back. Let the belly and the chest become heavy, and as your weight starts to press down onto the hand, feel the stretch slowly intensifying. Again, I want you to focus on the here and now. And then ever so slowly start to roll onto that left hip. Keep that right palm in towards the back. Roll the head to rest on top of that left arm. Keep the knees stacked. Gently release that right arm. Reach the right arm up and overhead. And if you can, clasp that right wrist with the left index finger and thumb. Please do so and gently pull on the arm. Exhale, release that right palm. Gently press your way up. And then come and take it over to the right hand side. So knees stack on top of one another, right arm slides out. Rest that right cheek and ear on top of the arm. Bring the left arm behind and press the back of that left palm into the back. Slowly creep it up between the shoulder blades. You're probably going to notice that you're considerably more open on one side than the other. And then ever so slowly start to transition onto your back. Keep the feet planted to the ground. Keep the knees bent. And then either bringing that right hand behind the head or keeping it lengthened up and over. Release through the soles of your feet. Release through your thighs, your knees. Let the hips and pelvis become heavy, chest heavy. Feel that gentle weight and pressure applied to the hand. Either staying as you are or changing the position of the right arm. And how does it feel on this side? Do you notice any difference? Do you feel the same? And just notice if you are more open or flexible on one side, that once you've completed the posture on both sides, regardless of how flexible you were or how strong you were on one side, how you feel afterwards is pretty much the same. And then ever so slowly start to transition back onto that right hand side. Keep the palm pressing in to the back as you rest the right cheek and ear on top of the arm, knees stack. Ever so gently release that left arm and then just bring that left hand up and overhead. Connect the palms. And then wrap your right index finger and thumb around the left wrist. Gently pull or tug on that left wrist. And then exhale. Plant that left palm. Gently press your way up. And then bring your blankets to stack one on top of another. We're going to rest in a heart opening Shavasana. If you would prefer to take traditional Shavasana, then you are more than welcome to. We want to bring the blankets to rest just where our bra straps are. Slowly lowering, lifting the heart. You can keep the knees bent for a moment, walk the feet in. Lower the head and then just lift the chin subtly so we create space between the chest and the chin, opening through the throat. Just want you to extend your arms up and overhead for a moment. Reach through your fingertips. Clasp a hold of your elbows. Draw those arms over the head and protract the shoulder blades down, so opening up through the chest. Inhale. Then slowly bring those arms out to a T, or you can keep them overhead.
And extend your legs out in front. Breathe, allow the feet to naturally turn outward, soften through the ankles, through the shins, the calves, front and backs of the knees, thighs, hips, belly, back, ribs, chest, shoulders, arms, wrists, hands, fingertips, neck and head, back, front and sides. Keep the eyes closed down, soften the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Let the eyes roll to the back of the head. And continue to breathe as you drift into a state of bliss. Continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And as you lay here in Shavasana, I'd like to read to you a little more about Santosa. So we need to live in every moment, in all of them, the ups and the downs. And we need to live these moments with passion. In order for you to experience true happiness, then you must have a passion for something and bring a sense of purpose to whatever circumstances you find yourself in. All happiness is in the moment. It's never in anything. And believing that you'll be happy when or you'll be happy if creates two problems. The first is that it's conditioned. It's that you're hoping that something out there, outside of yourself, is going to make you happy. Secondly, the ifs and whens are always in the future. And the future is in the imagination. So there's a teaching in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is that you have control over action alone and never over its fruits. In this one sentence is the key to true happiness. The journey of 1,000 steps may begin with the first one, but the key to true happiness lies in bringing presence and passion to the next 999. You cannot know if you'll actually achieve the fruits of your action in this life. All you can do is choose what you do and what action you'll take based on those choices to create the life you desire. Now, I also want to mention that applying Santosa doesn't negate driving towards goals in our personal or professional lives. So the responsibility for fulfilling our Dharma remains present. Our charge is to work diligently to manifest our potential, but to hold Santosa at each point of our journey. So another teaching from the Bhagavad Gita tells us that if we focus on the intention of our actions, rather than the outcomes, this is made a lot easier.
So I hope today's practice has inspired you to live in the present so that you can continuously rediscover the abundance that's around us. And rediscovering that abundance should be happening in every moment, including during the difficult times. It can be something as simple as a ray of sunshine that breaks through the clouds early or late in the day. It could be the best cup of coffee you've had in weeks. It could be a stranger smiling at you. I want you to focus on those things. And when you focus on those things, you will realize that you are enough and what you have is enough. Thank you so much for joining me on this International Day of Yoga. I can't wait to see your faces back in the physical studio in a month's time. May you be happy, healthy, and well always. Namaste.